We're back a year later.
Has it been that long?
A whole year. And we're back.
Has it really been that long?
Yes, we've been gone because, I mean, a lot of you know, but some people may not know. I don't know who would not know. But we had baby.
Woo! Big move.
Yeah, so we'll get into labor and delivery, that whole story. But he has a question he wants to ask me. We were just talking about it before, but I was like, wait, because we're making a video, so ask me on camera.
So she has this
Yeah.
crazy thought, sentiment, idea, whatever you want to call it. We were talking about, getting some food one day, and Louisiana came up. Louisiana fried chicken, famous fried chicken, everybody knows. And I was like, hey, let's get some Louisiana. She essentially said she didn't like it like that. It was, it wasn't all that. Like, that was the lowest of her top 5 or whatever fast food chicken.
Well, not like top 5, but like, I just personally, go ahead, I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
Louisiana is not up there for me. Like, I didn't grow up on it. I don't care for it. If I don't eat it again, I'll be just fine. The thing is, I don't necessarily have a number 1 though. Like, it's just Louisiana is not my top 1, 2, 3, or 4. Honestly, I like Church's. I don't care for their biscuits.
Church's biscuits are good. They're not like
every time I've had them, they've been hard.
Well, that's different. But they're supposed to be harder on the outside, softer on the inside.
No, but anyway, the chicken's cool. I don't have a second or a third. If I did, it wouldn't be Louisiana.
Here's the thing. I don't think Louisiana is the best chicken ever, but it's some really, really solid chicken for always a solid price, depending on where you go.
Okay.
But
not a fan.
Louisiana being one of the best chicken spots, Popeyes, Church's, all that, KFC, those 3 are really just running the fast food, like fried chicken joints. But Louisiana has to be, in my opinion, probably number 1 of those. Probably.
Well, I did eat.
But everything is close, though.
Close or close?
Close, like it's a close race.
Proximity.
No, I mean like it's a close race in terms of
I get
ranking.
you. Okay. I did grow up eating KFC. Now when I have it, I'm just like, okay, like KFC I don't have to have this either. Like,
KFC is solid, but
personally, I like my own chicken the best. My chicken, my mother-in-law's chicken. My mom smothers chicken, so I'm like, Mom, you'll make fried chicken? And she says, yeah, and I'm like, but you can put it in gravy. That's not fried chicken. So it's like, I can remember the last time she actually did fried chicken is because I said, Mom, fried chicken, and my stepdad was like, yeah, like just leave it out of the gravy. But yeah, I would prefer home fried chicken.
Yeah, home fried.
Personally, that's it.
But Louisiana,
it's not on my list.
She's wild with that. Louisiana is way better than she gives it credit for. But anywho, it's been a long time.
I think the last video we did was that Valentine's Day scavenger hunt.
Was that 21?
That was, yes.
Wow, so it's been over a year. It's been almost 2 years, like a year and a half, roughly.
Well, February 2021.
Yeah, and this is October 22.
Oh my God, I don't know why I was thinking it was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's October 22. So it's a year and a half, closer to 2 years, really.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but in 2020, I did have a miscarriage. September of 2020. And then that was rough for a few months. And then we decided, like, let's try again. He was just like, you sure? You sure? And I was like, first I was kind of like, let's do it. But then I was kind of like, I don't really know. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. And then I was like, one day I was just like, I'm ready. But you said a quote like, you don't know, there's no time, you can't remember the time frame of how long, you were sitting in that. It's just one day you realize that.
Yeah, I heard T.D. Jakes say something like that in one of his sermons. It was just essentially, the message was like, You know, when you lose a loved one or you something.
This is my knee. I think I said that in another video too.
Something, you know, tragic happens, if you want to say.
Yeah.
You don't feel good about it, and then God restores that feeling. You know, makes it feel okay again. Not to say that, you know, whatever happened is behind you. You know, you still carry that, you still walk with that, but you feel okay again. And then God just does that. You don't know when that happened. You can't look back and point it out, but it happened. And so I think
so. It happened.
Time, we always attribute that to time, but
yeah,
you know, I like to point it towards God and say, you know, God did that through time, if you will.
Okay, DJ Khaled.
No.
But so found out I was pregnant at the end of February.
And that was that last video.
Okay, so no, we gotta clear that up. Okay, I didn't have the scavenger hunt and then get pregnant after that.
No.
That's not what happened.
No.
So
that is crazy though. Like
the timing of it.
That's why y'all ain't seen us. You know what I'm saying? We had some things to get going.
So I had a really, really, really smooth pregnancy.
Thank God.
No morning sickness. I think I craved chicken sandwiches the last month of my pregnancy.
And pickle. Well, no, that one soup that you made. Remember that soup that you made?
So yes. Yeah, I can't even pronounce the name of it, but it's like a lemongrass soup. Oh. It was like tomatoes, lemon, like disgusting, right? I mean, the actual soup is good if you go get it from the store, but like the soup that I made, if I was to eat that today, I'd probably throw up. But I was craving it like tough, and ice cream. And I was like, this is what I want. And I'm sitting there eating it, and he's like, is it good? And I'm like, yeah, it's good. And then I tried to like warm it up the next day, and I was like, yo, this is nasty. But really, really, really easy pregnancy. Doctor's appointments like crazy, of course. Yeah. But
shout out to our doctor too. He was a cool dude.
Yes. So cool.
And he set the delivery date on the date that he was born.
Yes.
That's how
my
cold
due date
it was. His due date.
So my due date was always November 4th. Even though they did move it up, like
moved it up again.
They moved it back. Based on his size because it's a boy. But based on his size, like he was measuring bigger. So they were like, oh, we're just going to move it up or whatever. But he ended up coming on his actual birthday or due date, right? But yeah, so we can get into it because you want to say something?
It's just been a long time.
I guess I had like the typical like movie labor and delivery story, like my water broke and all that other stuff. But
are we telling that story?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to do?
No, that's right.
Okay. So we were at the dealership getting his car, or starting the process of getting his car, and I was having contractions.
Now, finishing the process, but
yes. Well, days before that, I was having like Braxton Hicks contractions, and then that morning, November 3rd.
That was a Wednesday.
I woke up. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was crying. I'm just like, I'm tired. Now, mind you, like I said, I had an amazing pregnancy, but I was just tired. And so it was to the point where I was so big, he would have to push me off the side of the bed because I was just like trying to get up. But I was like, I can't do this no more. And he was like, hang in there. It's almost over. You're doing so good. And I was like, you don't understand. Like, this is crazy. So then went on about our day. It's about, what time? We're at the dealership. Maybe like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We were
in
there.
the evening, like 5 or so.
Yeah. Signing papers, and I'm like having contractions. And I'm like, this is different. I think these are actual contractions. So he's like, you're doing good. And I was like, oh, we need to start timing these things, right?
Yeah, we started timing.
They were like, it was like maybe like 25 minutes. Like it wasn't anything consistent. And so we ended up coming home. And oh wait,
a week before.
Rewind. Your mom called and was like, "Hey, I made food. You guys come down here."
She made red beans and rice, sausage or something in them, and I'm like, we were both
chicken,
starving.
All that because we hadn't eaten in a while. So I was like, okay, cool. So once we leave the dealership, we'll come down there. So obviously we live close to our, his parents, but I was like, okay, cool. So we got home and I was like, I'm still having contractions, but like, let's go eat. it's not much that I'm gonna do in regards to missing a meal. That's how.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking, and there's like this psh, gush, and I was like, and he was like, "You remember what you said? You don't?
Mm-mm.
You're like, what's wrong? Did your water break?"
No,
And I was
okay.
like, yes. He's like, really? I was like,
Wait a minute, hold on. Pause that story.
yeah.
Going a week prior, roughly, maybe a couple
Yeah.
days. We was making that same walk down to
Check
my
it
mom's house. I'm sorry, down to my mom's house
Yes.
For whatever reason, and she was a false alarm that she thought her water break in. She
Okay.
felt a rushed in.
TMI, if you guys have never had a baby or don't know anybody that's had a baby, there's a mucus plug that you lose before you have a baby. And so it actually wasn't a week before, it was actually a few days before.
A few days. Okay.
So it was actually my mucus plug that I lost.
So
but it was kind of like the same, but my actual water breaking was, of course, a lot more intense. But it wasn't like a full on, not like the movies, like psh. It was like a gush of water, and I was like, dang, like I could just be peeing on myself, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot going on down there. I don't know.
And so for the false alarm, we turned back around, came back home, checked it out, and we pretty much knew it was a false alarm. But going back to the day her water broke after we got back from the dealership, about 8:30, 9 o'clock or so, we're making that walk down there. Mind you, we're both off of work now. She had been off for like a week or two.
We planned it. We planned for him to be off work based on the
This is my
timing.
first week off from work for about 2 months or so. So that was a blessing for us to both be off together and have that time to kind of just prepare and rest up and everything. Even though we didn't get a whole lot of rest.
We'll get to that.
But
yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
So then my water broke. We turn around, and so I'm like kind of walking, like I was already waddling, but like it's kind of like walking, like, oh, this feels nasty. So we come inside, and then I'm sitting on the toilet, and I was like, I told her I think that was my water, and he's like, okay, let's get the bag. We already had our bags packed, like we had organized all his stuff.
Check this out. One of my guys at work, a couple of my guys, giving me pointers and heads up, they had kids. He was like, hey man, pack a bag, bring blankets, bring snacks, pack it early and just have it. And so I took heed to those words of advice, man, and it really helped out because, like she's saying, when we came back in the house and she, used the bathroom and I think this is my water break, and we was kind of going back and forth, and he was like, should we let our phones charge and all that?
First of all, go ahead.
But all of our stuff was prepared and ready.
Yes, and even his stuff, we organized all of his stuff by size. Like we were just chilling, just waiting for him.
Mm-hmm. We had our baby shower. What, about
a month? No,
a month and a half.
September 25th, I believe we had our shower. He was born November 4th.
Yeah, about a month and a half.
Yeah, so we were good to go.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. A lot of family blessed us. And just hoping the family will bless us again for the next one.
We got time for the next one, though.
Yeah.
But, we had all of our stuff packed, and then we got everything, and I was like, well, my contractions are like, they're coming. They're like every 15 minutes now. We had started like timing them, but it wasn't nothing that I had to like stop and just, oh my gosh, I can't. I was fine. I was moving around. And so I was like, well, we should for sure go to the hospital and at least check it out, because if it's nothing, they can send me back home and,
right.
But just check me in the meantime. So then we got ready to go and realized that both of our phones was like at 43%. Whatever percentage it was like the same. And we were like, shoot, like, let's go ahead and charge our phones because we don't know.
Lower than that. It might have been like 20 something.
Possibly. But it was like, let's charge our phones because we don't know if there's going to be an outlet. We don't know how long we're going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, I never had a baby before, so I'm like, is this going to be like an ER situation where you sit and you kind of just wait, get monitored?
And this,
I don't know.
And this was during a time where COVID was still it's still here, of course. And what's today? It's Friday, the 7th.
Yeah.
Of October 2022. So this was just about a full year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had just gone through a surge at the time. So there was still a lot of precautionary measures taken by the hospitals in regards to like emergencies and baby delivery and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So it was a lot going on. There were still procedures in place. The hospital, like, we got there. So our phones got to a good, I can't remember the percentage, but they got to like a good amount of whatever,
Juice.
battery life. So then we walk downstairs because our parking garage is like lower, you know. We walk downstairs. I go to sit down and there's like a gush of water. Luckily, this guy grabs a towel before we get in the car because he was like, we don't know. I was just like, at this point, from the time that we charged our phones to the time we got to the car, it had been like what, maybe like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But my contractions are like now at this point, like every like 12 minutes.
Did they ever do it?
Yes, because when I got to the hospital, they were every 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So then we go to and the hospital's like down the street from us.
And along the way there, we called our mom.
Oh, we did.
And they, it was funny. That was cool.
I was like, yep, it's time. This was like at 9 p.m.
Yep.
Right?
9,
so this was like
9:30.
9-ish. So we get there, we check in. They had me go up first because, again, it was COVID. But like as I'm walking, we walked in together, but I had to stop and like hold him because now my contractions are like painful. Like my stomach is getting tight and it just, you know, kind of like releases. And I was like, oh, okay, wait. Okay, we can walk. Okay, wait. Mm-hmm. So then they had me go up and I was so worried that I was going to have contractions. I wasn't going to have anybody to hold on to, but that wasn't an issue. As soon as I walked out of the elevator, but the lady's like, hey, go upstairs. You're going to go to the right. You're going to go to...
Yeah, make a U-turn. Come back. Whoa.
Can you make it like simple for me? I just need to get where I need to go.
I need a guide.
Right. So then I go upstairs, and mind you, my contractions stopped during this time, which is great. So I walk up, and the ladies are like, "Oh, is it your due date? Are you around your due date? You have contractions?" And I'm like, "Yes, all that." And so then they're like, "Fill out this paperwork." I'm like, I remember this in the movies. Like, you don't fill out no paperwork. I'm having a baby. Like, send me in a room, put me on a monitor, all that good stuff, right? We're the doctors. So which sucked because my doctor actually didn't deliver him. And we found that out early. I did ask him, I said, are you going to be the one to deliver the baby? And he's like, no, I'm not going to be the one to do it. It's going to be Dr. Whoever that is.
Man, that's how I do.
I know. So then she gives me the clipboard. I fill this out. I'm not having contractions. Now, mind you, I'm up there for like 20 minutes by myself. And I was like, where's my baby daddy? So I'm like texting him. His phone, there's no service. So he's not getting my messages. And I'm like getting frustrated. It's questions on this thing. It's like, rate your pain. I'm like, now I'm at like my contractions were never like to the point to where like I couldn't like function. It was just like, ooh, let me stop. Let me just regroup and then move forward. But I'm sitting there filling out a clipboard. It's a lady that walks out of the elevator. She has her duffel bag on her shoulder. And then they're like, hey, ma'am, you know, how's it going? Asking her the same question. She's like, yeah, this is my third baby. Like, she's giving them the rundown. They're like, okay, take this clipboard. She's just kind of like, she took a shower. She's like, I'm just ready. And I was like, what the hell?
She's ready to go.
So then, it was another lady sitting across from me. She was in pain. Like, oh, that's my phone. She was in pain. I was like, crazy.
Yeah.
So then he finally comes up and he's sitting next to me. He's like, how's it going? My contractions start again. I was like, maybe it's you. So then did you go back with me the first time?
I think they set up the room first.
Okay.
And then it was just a couple minutes though.
Yes. So they came and sat me in the room and they came and they got him. And she was just like, hey, put this gown on. So then I go into the I go to the restroom to change my clothes. I walk out and the water is full on, like, coming out all on the floor.
Now it's a movie.
It's a movie now. And she was like, well, I just want to make sure that this is actually your water. And I said, well, if this is not can't even talk. If this is not my water, y'all need to check me in upstairs because something's wrong. Like,
right,
the amount of water that was coming out. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was all in there. So then she, like, comes in and then she leaves and I'm walking to the bed and the water's on the floor and I'm like telling him, like, clean it up, like, you gotta wipe it up. I don't want them to see that. And he was like, where do you think we are? I was like, you right, but still clean it up.
So then I'm down there cleaning and the lady coming in the door. Hey,
clean it up. Cool. She probably knew exactly what was going on. But laying there and then they come in to give me my IV. They're like, it's your water. They check me. They're like, you're 3 centimeters, all this other stuff. So this lady comes in and they're like, hi, this is whatever her name was. You know, she's going to put your IV in.
So it was the nurse, I believe. and like a an intern, or not an intern, maybe like a medical
She was
student,
like a new nurse
or something like that. It was somebody who was training, who was learning, and they were trying to train on Mari.
No,
And
that's not what we're doing.
It was a how can I put this? It was a fail.
Hot mess.
It was a fail. It didn't work.
And I
at
wasn't
all.
happy.
It didn't work at all.
So everybody knows the whole being a black woman, having a baby, and the risk that comes with that, and how we're not heard. You know, how it's a possibility, a high possibility of us not being heard, and our pain is not the same as the next woman's would be. That's not true though. You know what I mean? So I was like, I was already on guard, because I'm like, there's no way you're gonna come in here. I'm not a test dummy. This is my first baby too. This is all new for me. No, we're not doing that. So she goes to, and I was okay with if she was like just, you know, moving a little slow, but was precise and was confident. She was kind of like, you know, like, I'm nervous. Maybe because I was looking at her the way that I was, like, don't mess this up, girl.
And she tried, you know.
She did try.
She tried.
She
for a
put
couple
the
minutes.
needle in, and then, I don't know why I'm doing this, but she put the needle in, and she like pulled out a little bit, and then she moves it, and I was like, and I looked at him, and he looked at the nurse, and I looked at the nurse, and the nurse took the needle out.
Went ahead and wrapped it up.
And she wrapped it up, and she's like, we'll be right back. And so then another lady who had years of experience walked in. She's like, hey guys, so, you know, I'm going to put your IV in. How's it going? Like, really friendly or whatever. Because when she stuck that needle in and she turned, I said, no. Once again, I'm not a test dummy. We're not doing that. Right? So then I told you the lady comes in, and she was really nice. Boom, one time. And then she's like, what are you having? To the boy. She says, oh my gosh, it's boys all on the floor tonight. Like, everybody's having a boy. Crazy, right? So then, well, you ever hear about the Chinese calendar or whatever? Apparently, I guess if that was a time for boys. So maybe that's something. I don't know. But our nurse comes in. The lady comes out. Our nurse comes in. She was really, really nice, really cool, down to earth.
Who's this?
Eddie.
Oh, okay.
So then she was like, you know, hey, she introduced herself and all that stuff.
Did she come in? No, we moved first.
Nope, she took us over there.
Right on.
So they were like, hey, we're going to admit you, all this other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, well, we're going to give you Pitocin to speed up your labor because your water is already broken and we don't want you to get an infection. But the thing is, they were like waiting to like monitor the baby. He was fine in the beginning, like completely fine. My contractions kind of slowed down a little bit, but they were like, you can have a epidural right now because you're already 3 centimeters. But I'm like, I'm not in enough pain to get it. I don't want to like just have it, and then that prolongs, you know, the labor and all that other stuff. So I'm like, I'll just wait to get it. So then she moves us. It's a lady full on screaming down the hall, screaming. Ah! And our nurse was like, sometimes when it's your second baby, it goes out really fast. You're not really expecting it. She says, you'll be fine. I said, that's what I said, everybody. So then she wheels us down to our room. We get in our room. Room is nice. It's a really good size.
Yeah, decent size room.
He was so uncomfortable.
Oh,
that's
terrible.
where it started.
That's where all the negative experience for me happened. It really wasn't negative at all, but just whatever these hospitals need to do to make it a more of a hospitable experience for the dads who are not having a baby, that really helps because we're supporting the people who's going through the bulk of the situation. If I can't be decently comfortable, then I'm only of so much service to her if I can't even just rest my eyes for 10 minutes. And she laid up in the bed, she need help, you know. But that's another story for another day.
Okay.
But yeah, it was.
So he was just uncomfortable sitting in the chair. Now, mind you, guys, we did not eat. Like, we were on our way down the street to eat. So
and we hadn't been sleeping either. Like a couple days before. It's just those days you kind of just wake up. She couldn't sleep really because, you know, baby kicking and moving, rolling around.
I was just uncomfortable.
Which she does now.
Oh,
and you know, we just weren't sleeping. So I wake up with her early, 6 o'clock or whatever, and you know, we go to sleep a little later because, you know, whatever. And we just didn't have the most sleep. Then on top of that, we woke up early the morning before, which is a Wednesday, dealing with the car stuff. Got all that stuff squared away by that evening. Going down here to my mom's to get the food, water break, so we still haven't eaten. And now at this point, it's probably 11 o'clock.
We're
sleepy,
like tired.
But at the same time, it's kind of like an adrenaline rush, if you will, because we're experiencing a lot of new stuff and it's happening kind of fast. So it's like, damn, we moving from this room to that room, back to this room, talking to this lady, talking to that lady. And I'm trying, like, as a support, I'm trying to absorb as much information as I can so that we can make the best decision, because she might not be all the way there because it's a contraction right now or her mind is somewhere else. And just trying to be as a person that's not affected the most in the situation. Just trying to, absorb the information so we can talk about it and make a decision or not, one way or another.
I mean, side note, I think that we did have a conversation before we even got to the hospital, like days before. And I recommend, like, if you're having a baby, just talk to your support person, because my conversation with him was just kind of like, hey, I may not be all the way there. You know me, and I need you to, like, go hard for me, because I'm good with pain, but, like, you just never know, so I was just like, hey, we know what we want as far as our experience. Let's push for that, and I'm okay with him speaking for me because he knows what I want, because we had that conversation. Right. So I was comfortable the whole time, but luckily I was all there. So we're in our room, and the nurse is like, hey, so she fills out the little information on the board, and it was surreal to see, like, baby Felder, like,
yeah, that was crazy.
Like, the monitors on, she has the monitors on me, it's like his heart rate. Now, mind you, we only heard his heart beat at the doctor's, office, so to see, exactly, so to see that, on the monitor was pretty cool. We were watching Toy Story, we watched Hitched, all kind of stuff.
Yeah, we watched Toy Story. What was that, 1 or 2?
I can't remember. Probably
Hitched.
1.
It was Hitched.
Yeah.
At this point, it's getting close to midnight. I'm in this uncomfortable chair. I mean, it's the worst. Even if I was just sitting in it for 10 minutes, it's uncomfortable. But I'm in this chair for hours, uncomfortable, trying to turn it. It did kind of recline, and I was weak because it's narrow, and I'm not a narrow dude, but I still fit in it, and it just wasn't a good thing. Well, she's on the bed here, and they got her hooked up to every single contraption known to man.
Mm-hmm.
So
everything was going pretty smooth. They were still holding off on Pitocin because the baby's heart rate started to drop, right? Yeah. And so they were like, they don't ever say, like, oh, baby's heart rate starting to drop. They'll say something like, well, we're gonna have you turn to your left because
the baby doesn't like this.
Baby doesn't like that, but growing up, I watched A Baby Story. We watched all the little baby stuff on TLC. Like, we know what this means, right? And then, too, I'm just, like, fascinated with, like, birth and, like, labor and delivery. Sometimes I watch those videos on YouTube, right? So she's like, turn this way, turn that way. And I was kind of, like, telling him, like, hey, like, let's watch the monitor because, like, something's off, right? And so then, I may have slept for, like, 2 minutes here, 3 minutes there, but it was just like I couldn't sleep because, mind you, we're at a hospital, so you got the intercoms going off, you got just random noises going off. Exactly, people coming in and out the room.
And I don't know if you've ever seen that, like on
Instagram
or social media or something, when the doctors and nurses come in, they like, yo, I'm trying to nap here, and maybe they do that.
I came here to have a baby.
maybe they do that to try to wake us up so that they don't have to come tap our feet or whatever.
Awesome.
But I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah. And so now, mind you, she was like, well, we're gonna give you Pitocin, but, like, you can't have a full stomach or whatever she said, or the epidural, one of those things. So she was like, do you want a sandwich? And I was like, yes, please. And so she brings a sandwich, like a little box sandwich. It was nasty. However,
was it nasty for her?
It was the best sandwich that we ever had because we were so hungry. Yeah. We split that dang sandwich. Mm-hmm. It was so good, but I know it was
regular old turkey sandwich on, like, this kind of rough wheat bread.
It was hospital food. Like,
it was wheat.
That is what it is, right?
But it was good.
So then, I never got Pitocin because they were like, we're going to watch the baby. So what happened was, I don't know what this procedure is called, but, like, they were like, we're going to tilt your hips up and then we're going to put water back in there because maybe baby needs more fluid. And I was like, okay. I was never in pain. This whole time I was never in pain. They shoot the water up there. It felt disgusting. I was like, they were like, wow, you're doing so good. And I was like, yeah. And I was telling him, like, look, pay attention, I'm doing good. Like, I need to hear about this later. So then, time has gone by. Baby's heart rate is still dropped. But now I'm getting, like, a little nervous because his heart rate is, like, dropping.
It's dropping.
And it's, like, staying low. And then it's picking back up.
It was like maybe 30 seconds at first or something like that. Then it progressed like a minute to where it got kind of low and go back up. So earlier on in the night, the doctor came in finally. We saw him twice before delivery. He came in, looked at the stuff. All right, keep monitoring it. I think that's what sprung the water. Go ahead and put the water up in there and see if that helps. And he came back. It seemed like 12 hours later, even though it's probably only like 3-4 hours later, but still.
Yeah.
And so, we were in that room, I would say maybe like from like 11 to about 5 or so. So in that time, the doctor came in, put the water, or he didn't put the water, the nurse did, came back, a couple hours later, checked on it and kind of ran the sheets again. The nurse has been doing everything to keep her comfortable, keep us comfortable. And she's really, Nurse Addie, I don't know, she probably never see this video, but she was a serious blessing for her.
Yeah,
she was wonderful, and it doesn't stop here because she still finished the job and stayed after too.
Wait till y'all hear what Addie did. Yeah. Oh Lord. Okay, so here's the thing. So we're sitting there, and the doctor comes in, and then he's like looking at the monitor. But before he came in, I told Addie, I said, "Hey, this is our nurse." I said, "I'm not opposed to having a C-section because it's crazy because when I saw his heart rate drop that last time, and I was like, hey, he saw it too." And then she came in. So I was like, so we're all on the same page, right?
Right.
So then I was like, I'm not opposed to having a C-section. And she looked at me and she said, "You sure?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Okay."
Yeah, because she was trying to uphold, because originally I think she put down paperwork or something, I don't know, that she wanted to do it naturally. I don't know if Mari wanted to do it naturally. So the nurse was trying to honor that, which that's much love and respect. But it also got to a point to where, like, I'm tired of seeing this drop. I don't want that to be a potential hazard of some sort to him because I want to have it naturally, quote unquote. So
look, we both need to we need to leave this hospital alive. Okay?
Yeah.
Bottom line. And with all of our limbs, no nothing. Healthy, happy, right? So then she goes, "You sure?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "All right." So then boom, out the room. The doctor comes in. This is like minutes, right? He looked at the monitor. He said, "Okay, we got to get you delivered." I said,
"Yeah, straight up." Okay. And this dude too, he's a
straight to the point.
Straight to the point, very cool. Like, he's been doing this for a long time. He's like, "All right, well, you have to get this baby out." And he's like, "All right, cool." And then Addie came back. He walks
out. Well, she was already in there with him.
Well, Addie was like, then she gave us a rundown, like, "Hey, it's FYI.
Yeah, she
we're
did.
Gonna say this whoop de whoop.
She said, "I'm gonna call a code green."
Yeah, it's gonna be a code green.
It's gonna be a lot of people.
It's gonna happen real fast, but we're here. And I'm like, all right, it can't be that fast. It's gonna be fast, but all right, cool. So she closed the door behind her, and like 6 people kicked the door in. They did tactical rolls into the room and threw a gown at me, landed on my face. So I'm taking it off. What is this? Put the gown on. Okay.
The scrubs. The
scrubs.
The C-section.
The scrubs. Yeah. And then they start unplugging her. "How you doing, man?" "Okay, cool, man. We're gonna take over here, man." I'm sitting here trying to put my pants on. "Come on, sir." I'm like, "Oh, goddamn." So I'm getting dressed and skipping out the room and putting my little thing on. This thing was too small. If I would have flexed my chest or something, it probably would have ripped. But anywho, yeah, it was just, it happened super fast. It was like, so from that point, let's say if it's like 5:30, we were both set up in that room by 5:10 or 5:40. I'm sorry. So 10 minutes tops, and it was boom, boom, boom. We hit a lot of corners. Hallways and elevators, I believe.
Yeah, but then they made you go off to the little room.
And so as they set her up for the procedure, they had me sit off to the side, and I talked to this other nurse in there, and she was cool. And it was just like I was just sitting there. It seemed like it was like for 15, 20 minutes, but I was only in there probably about 5 minutes maybe.
Random siren. I don't know if they can hear that. And I also don't know if you guys can hear the fan in the back. It's a little hot.
Yeah, a little toasty. But yeah, so they set her up in the room, and from her perspective, she was like, "Where's my husband?" And they, "Oh, where's that?"
So they I'm in the room now, and people are standing around, right? They're just standing there, and they're looking at me, and I felt like I was in a movie. And they're like, "Okay, so we're gonna you're gonna sit up, we're gonna scoot you over." Is that another siren?
Dude.
Yeah.
Y'all got their gloves.
Right, so they slide me over and whatever. Yeah, like I had to scoot over, but then they were kind of like helping me get onto like the operating table or whatever. They put the curtain up. I feel like they strapped my arms down. He said they didn't strap my arms down.
No.
Whatever. So I'm laying there, right? And then they put the little curtain up, but I start to feel like I'm doing a handstand. Like I feel like all the blood is rushing to my head. And I was like, stop it. So I was like, I don't know why I said like I can't breathe, or I think I said I feel dizzy. Like I'm feeling dizzy.
You felt very dizzy.
I felt, and they were like, you feel dizzy? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay. They're like, okay. And then I heard but before this, I had to get an epidural because they said you're either gonna get it. Because I said I didn't need it, but they were like, well, here's the thing though. But if you have to have a C-section, we need to put it in there, unless we're gonna have to put you to sleep. I said, well, come on.
Yeah, so right before the cold green, they rushed us out of there. They sat her up and did the little things in her back and all that.
And that said, dude, don't jump.
That dude right there, he was a funny dude, very nice dude.
Yeah.
You can always tell when somebody's heart is in what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
It's clear as day. So Nurse Addie, and I forget this guy's name, but this guy was amazing too. Mm-hmm. And most of our nurses that night were fine, leading up to the delivery, and then thereafter they were fine too, except for one.
Yeah. So then we I had the epidural, I was all set. So then when I said that I was dizzy, he was like, hey, you're dizzy? Okay. And first of all, he was not in the room as far as I thought. And then all of a sudden he popped up. He's like, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? I'm like, I feel dizzy. Yeah. So he was like super jolly. And then of course he popped in and was like, you feel dizzy? And I was like, where you come from? You know what I mean? So then he was like, okay, whatever, however many cc's, you know, the other guy. And so he cranked up whatever. And then I started to feel fine. But at the same time, I kind of felt like that when I was pregnant too. I don't know what it is, but when I put my feet, if I'm laying flat, but if I put my feet over onto the floor, I feel fine. So I was wiggling my toes during the procedure, and I was like, hopefully this will get whatever it is, blood flow that needs to move it. That's random. You guys probably can't even hear that or whatever. Yeah. So, I'm like, okay. So then I hear like, incision, and I said, where's my husband?
Yeah.
And then they were like, somebody get the support person. They didn't left.
I'm sitting there in the room down the hall, my little thing on, this too tight cover up on like.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah. And so he comes in, he sits down, and what'd you see when you were coming in?
Probably about 15 people. It might have been like 8, 9, something like that. But it was just, you were set up on the table and they had like your bottom half covered. Like pretty much from like your belly, maybe your mid torso down covered and all that stuff. And there was a machine over there, off in the back, and my little seat, and like a little smaller table for when the baby were to come out.
Did they had already started when you came in?
Likely so. I could smell it. You could smell something.
Burning flesh. I
don't know if it was that. It might have been. But yeah, you could you definitely smell something. But they was like, just had started like right there. So you could tell it was like ready to go. So.
You saw the blood?
Yeah, so it was a machine over there. And that machine is like super fancy for whatever it's doing. It does its job clearly, but it was just sucking blood. You can see the blood going through like the what do they call that? It's a clear tube, but it's not completely clear. You can't see through it, but it's like clear white, like cloudy, and you can see the red tint going through. Tons of it, not that much, but there's a lot of it. And so yeah, that's probably where all my blood was going, straight out of my head to the tube. But anyway, yeah, and so
crazy.
Go ahead.
So, he comes in, and I feel like it was maybe like 5-6 minutes, and then I started to feel like someone digging their elbow like in my stomach, like pushing, like and digging. I was like, ugh, like you know. And then he's like rubbing my hand. He's like, that's not your hand, but he's rubbing my hand, and he was like, you know, like, doing good. And I was like, you know, I was telling him like I'm nervous or whatever, and he's like, you're fine.
Yeah, she was definitely like, I'm nervous, you know.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
So then, next thing you know, we hear crying.
Yeah, that was the moment for me. And, you know, one of my guys, shout out to my guy. This is a different guy, by the way. He's saying like, oh man, like, you know, his take on is that it doesn't become real for us as dads until after the baby gets here, as opposed to for the ladies. for mom, it begins early on.
And you see the 2 lines on the
stick. When you see the 2 lines, and you start to feel your body begin to change, and you go into all these appointments, and you can feel the baby getting bigger, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
and then the changes are also happening to you too, so it's a different experience. So for me, when I heard the baby come out, and you hear them chattering like, "Oh, this, that, the third, blah blah blah," hospital talk, right? They say, "Okay, baby's out," and then you hear.
That's exactly what he sounded like. And we looked at each other. It shocked
me. I'm like, what? What's going on? As if I didn't know the baby was coming out. Like, why is he crying? Like, you know, like it's supposed to be a horse or something. You know, like I don't know. It was funny, but it was like, wow. I was really shocked though. It like made me jump as if I wasn't expecting it.
It was an out of body experience. So we were like looking at each other, and we both were like,
And she was like, oh. And then during that moment, the baby was crying and stuff, and then she was like, "I did it, I did it."
Don't remember this.
She was like, "I did it." She all crying. It was like a movie. I'm sitting there like, it's all right. I'm not a crier, so I don't cry. Like, and it's not because men shouldn't cry. I don't feel like that at all. But I just didn't cry. I just, it's all right. Yeah, you did it. Good job. Way to go. You did it. You held it down. All this, you brought it to this point.
Sheesh, man. So then, now mind you, I was crying the day before, so I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So then, the nurse like calls him like, "Oh, Dad, do you want to come cut the cord?" Right now, mind you, they already cut the baby from me, so he still had, a piece of the cord still over there. So he goes and he cuts the cord. And mind you, I'm over there by myself with my arms tied.
Yeah.
Down.
No, I'm not tied down.
That's what it felt like. So then he walks back over, right?
So wait a minute, let's talk about that. So
go ahead. Yes.
So they called me over there, and mind you, this is Nurse Addie still. She's still here doing her thing. And she's like, all right, cool. And the rest of the other ladies over there too. They gave me the scissors. I said, where do you want me to cut? Here? Or here? Or here? She's like, no, a little lower, a little higher, right there. And I cut it, and mind you, he's over there looking like a little ant. He's like, he just looks like an alien. You got all this stuff on him and stuff like that. And I heard them with a little bit of chatter. And I was like, all right, well, I'll sit on that. I'll mention that in a minute. And then, so then while I was doing that, Nurse Addie was like, let me get your phone. I said, okay. And she took pictures of me cutting the cord. We wouldn't have those pictures had it not been for Nurse Addie. So she took a picture of me cutting the cord. like 12 of them.
Man.
And it's the same frames, like, right? Yeah. We're doing the cutting.
Your baby's like.
Yeah. So that was real sweet of her to be present in those moments like that, knowing this is our first child and stuff like that. So we have that picture, those pictures, and
so cute. So then he comes and he sits back down. And he's like,
yeah, I'm blown away. Like, well, this is nuts.
It's great. And I said, now mind you, my arms are tied. Okay. I said, did you take pictures? What does he look like? Like, does he look like me? Does he look like you? And then he's like, oh yeah. Here's the pictures. He shows me the pictures, and like I looked at the picture, but I felt like I didn't see anything. Like I just saw like it was so much happening. Like I saw, I'm like, okay, it's a baby, right? Y'all. And then Addie for the win. She comes over. She takes the curtain down, right? She has the baby, and then she puts the baby right. She's locked eyes with me, right? She's watching me the whole time. She has the baby, and she puts the baby right on my face. And she's holding him like
face
this.
Is like do like that.
And our faces touch, and I freaking lost it.
Yeah, she crying.
Oh my gosh, I was boo-hooing.
She's in there like,
No, I was not. Get on my nerves. No, I was crying, but I wasn't like I was just kind of like the tears were flowing like crazy.
And again, I'm not a crier. I'm sitting there like, wow, that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, it was just this overwhelming feeling of like, wow, this is my baby. Like he's mine. Like I felt like my heart outside of my chest, like not like my physical heart, but like a piece of my love was really sitting here. God's love was right here, and it came to meet me face to face. That's exactly what I felt like. And so I was just like, oh my gosh. And then everything moved so fast after that. I didn't feel them like, I was numb at that point. But I didn't feel any of that.
That's where I feel.
People disappeared.
I really started smelling the burn because they're like sealing it. I'm like, oh, why are they burning her belly? Like, they still sucking stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So then, so they wrapped the baby up. Did they give the baby to you?
No. They gave the baby to you and put him on your chest.
Oh.
Yeah, so they moved the machine. Everybody started moving and everything. Cool. And at the same time, the doctor was able to help us with something that she was going through as well. On the back end, was able to remove some stuff and got it going. So that was cool. He was present. Again, everybody just worked well together. It just worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool.
And then we could jump to like
they removed all the stuff, and then they rolled us over to the room. We rolled her and the baby over to the room.
Recovery was good. There was no issues there. It was just that we were calling our moms or whatever. My mom was asleep, and if I can remember the story right, she told me that I had called her. We sent her like a Marco Polo video of of me and the baby. And then when I called her that morning, she called me and was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "You didn't see the Marco Polo video?" She was like, "What video?" And she was like, this was probably like at 7. I had him at 6 o'clock on the dot.
6 o'clock on the nose.
He was 7:11. And so then she's like, "What video?" And I was like, "Mom," like, she said, "You have the baby?" I said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh my God." Yeah, girl, you asleep. So recovery was fine. We got to a room, and I really don't remember. I just remember
this was like a more of a, I don't know if you, it was like a room that was multiple rooms separated by a bunch of curtains.
That was recovery.
Okay, that was recovery.
Yeah, so then we got to our room.
So you're talking about after? Oh yeah, okay.
Got to our room.
Okay.
And it was just us.
Yep. And we kind of set up
the baby.
It was a lot more cozy, kind of homey in there.
The sun was up.
The sun was out and stuff. Mm-hmm. Mind you, we had not slept since it was at this point like 24 hours plus. Yeah. Probably like closer to 20, 25, 30 hours. We had not slept because we woke up early the morning before. And mind you, the chair for me was terrible. She couldn't sleep either because everything's happening to her. So we're completely not rested. And we got this new baby in here. Oh man, that was tight. Dang tight.
Yeah, and he was so peaceful. His little blinking eyes, little nose, toes.
Can't see nothing farther than an inch in front of him.
Yeah.
He cried sometimes. Of course, when the nurse came in and changed diapers and stuff.
Yeah, he didn't like that too much.
Yeah, it's because it's probably cold or something. But his cry is so small. It's funny because when I used to hear cries when I was a little younger, they'd be like, "Oh man, that baby crying." But my mom said this years and years ago. I was probably still in high school, and she was like, "It's different when your baby cries." I'm like, "Oh, whatever." Right? It's different when your baby cries. So I'm like, "Oh, come on, guy." Now it's like, okay, you faking. Stop faking.
Yeah, he learned how to cry now. It's a mess.
So,
so it was just us in the room. We were talking to family. They were sending us food.
Oh, man, that's love. I was just talking to my mom about that a week ago.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
I was like, man, that Carl's Jr. burger was kicking. It was right on.
Because they fed me, but I didn't want that. Yeah. So we were eating. We had our family bring us food. Now, mind you, because he was vaccinated, he was able to come and go from the hospital.
Yep.
With no issues. But yeah, that was that. And then breastfeeding for me was a little hard in the beginning because he would latch. He had a very aggressive latch, but he was not latching right exactly, but he wasn't latching properly. And so I don't know if you guys have had kids. Most of you guys, I'm sure, have. But it was an experience. And then they kept trying to. And then we had really good nurses coming in to check on us at all. It was every hour, every 2 hours coming in to check on us, and they would switch. We had one nurse who was really trying to tell me how to do it like this, do it like this. It wasn't working. Well, here was my support person. He saw me getting frustrated, and do you want to go into that?
I don't remember, but I just essentially said that's not working.
She kept trying to get me to nurse him a certain way.
It was a football hole is what she was doing. So his feet is at Mari's back, and his head is here, and do it like this. But the thing is, Mari's torso, she's not a large individual at all. So his feet are on the back of the bed, and his head is way out here. So he can't. It's an awkward position. Now maybe you could cradle him and stuff, but this is not natural to her.
It wasn't.
Her natural situation was just right across her chest this way, one either side. And so once the lady finally got the idea, I'm like, hey, essentially this is not working. She can do it the other way. He was able to do it fine, and after she was still persistent with it, but we was just like, hey, this is not it. And she finally, just do it the other way, and then the baby was like, it's all fine. So I mean, other than that, that was the only lady who was trying to get us to do one thing.
She was getting on my nerves, wanting her to go.
And she wasn't really doing a good enough job explaining as to why she wanted us to do that one thing. It was just like she wanted us to do that. So anyway, she was just there for a night or two, but after we got through the latching portion,
everything else was a breeze. Like,
yeah.
Our whole experience was great, and then 5 days later, I was in the ER.
Yeah.
We could do another video. I know this video is pretty long, but I can tell you guys about my experience with that. But our labor and delivery went by pretty quick. I would say I wasn't there for in labor for 24 hours. I wasn't I didn't have a long drawn out painful experience. It was an overall really beautiful experience from pregnancy to delivery. Thank God for it, because I was nervous. But I was praying the whole time, whole pregnancy, whole delivery.
Right.
But my support person was supporting. Okay, he was holding me down. He was asleep during a lot of that time after the baby was born. He was knocked out. I was throwing apple juice cartons at him, trying to get him up, because I'm I had a C-section, so I need help getting out of the bed. So I'm holding the baby. He is knocked out. I'm full on throwing stuff at him. He is not budging, and I'm dang, this man died in the hospital, and I just had his baby. This is crazy, right? But no, I'm I was calling his phone, and then I just figured it out myself. I was I'm gonna put the baby down. I'm gonna scoot out the bed. You know what I mean? Made it to the bathroom.
She doing too much. All she had to do was hit the little help button on the bed, dude, and the nurse would have came running.
I didn't even think about that. I was I gotta pee. This is crazy. But yes, but that was maybe night 2.
Yeah, we were there because this was Thursday. We didn't leave till what, Saturday? Sunday morning. Woo, we was there for a little bit.
Yeah, and he was complaining, but he held me down. I can say that he was there for me, except for that one night I was throwing apple juice cartons at him, and he wasn't waking up. But yeah, the whole process, pregnancy and all, he was amazing. And now this boy is happy. He is healthy. He is big. He is throwing little tantrums. I don't know where he got that from. That must be a new daycare thing. But yeah.
He watching those other kids
let me try that.
Yeah. And we just look at him what you doing?
Yeah.
That's not how it worked for Timmy.
I know. Yeah, but that was our experience. And I pray that our next experience goes, if not like that, then much better. It was great.
Yeah, it was cool. It was no complaints, no scares, anything like that.
Yeah.
It was a super, super blessing. Yeah.
But I'll tell you guys in the next video about that whole experience after, because that was pretty scary.
Everything turned out okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm in one piece. But
she lost all her pig knuckles. No,
no more pig knuckles. Darn. No, but that was that. Yeah. We won't be gone for another year. Okay. Yeah. We'll be back.
We'll be back with some more content for y'all, like the rest of the YouTubers talking about. I ain't no YouTuber. We're just folks that just want to share our story. It's cool. And it's also a way for us to document some of the stuff that we go through too. We can look back on it later, because we look at some of our old videos, and it'd be cool to just see that and see where we were. It's like looking at a picture. You can almost
put yourself in that moment.
Put yourself right back in that moment. Travel through time and sit there. So with these videos, same thing, just a little more in depth kind of. So. Yep, just wanted to share that with y'all, man.
Yes.
So hit that like button.
Subscribe to our channel.
Y'all do what y'all want to do. And that's pretty much that.
All right. Bye, guys.
See y'all next time, man.
Thank you.
Peace and love.
Yes.
Peace and love.